Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids.
Pocket full of shells, sunset dragon. Haven't even slept all day, so now something's gotta give. Might as well live it up into the face. Yeah, everything you dreamed of. I just wanna be famous, be so jaded. Cause all I play my bodies take my mind from me. Show up at the Oscars, smoke out dinners, open. The money is for nothing and the chicks are for free. Yeah, I wanna be. You can sleep all day and still get paid when the sun goes down. We'll do it all over, when you're on a roll. I gotta let you go right through the back door. Let the days begin. You got it. Cause all I play my bodies take my mind from me. Show up at the Oscars, smoke out dinners, open. The money is for nothing and the chicks are for free. Yeah, I wanna be. All that is everything that you dream about. Be careful what you wish for. All that is everything that you dream. When everything's falling apart at the seams, and I know that you never believed in me. Don't ever let your dreams.
Yeah!
Just means so much to you. Want it, you got it. It's everything you dreamed of. I just wanna be famous, be so jaded. Cause all I play my bodies take my money from me. Show up at the Oscars, smoke out dinners, open. The money is for nothing and the chicks are for free. I just wanna be famous, cause famous contagious. Now all I play my bodies want my money from me. Show up at the Grammys, so loaded and banging. The money is for nothing and the chicks are free. Yeah, I wanna be.
That's right. The last table is served. The station is broken down. Everything is labeled and put away. Your inventory is complete, and now it's time to meet me on the back dock where all the most important meetings are held. Take a deep breath and enjoy a job well done.
Oui, chef.
That was a little weak, man. I think we need to do that again.
Oui, chef.
Thank you, boys. All right. So we're broadcasting as we do when we're back in town from the dish pit, where the interns have learned the joys of collective bargaining. Apparently, one does not need to be actually paid in order to have a union representative. Weird. I can only assume that they'll be back after their mandated 2-hour break. Wherever this night finds you, my brothers and sisters, trust us to see you through to wherever you're headed into tomorrow. We're streaming audio and video live from www.brigaderadio.com/live. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can head over to YouTube to check out the recorded video of the show. We also have a live chat on the website where you can log in as a guest and leave your thoughts and questions, whether the show is live or not. I know I like to be anonymous, right? We live stream on the first Sunday of the month. Podcasts are available here on the website, iTunes, and Stitcher. www.brigaderadio.com, where we are dedicated to shifting the conversation about what it means to be part of an industry we all love, despite plenty of evidence to the contrary. At the website, we've also included a new page for Chef News, which is updated weekly from paper.li, and you can view it there and even subscribe to get it sent to you directly. And also, just in case you need to put on some jams to prep to, you can check out and subscribe to our Spotify Brigade radio playlist right here on the website under the tab marked music. As always, you can connect with us at facebook.com/Brigade Radio and Twitter at Brigade Radio.
Oh, yes, Chef.
Tonight's topics, systems, what systems? And in just a few moments, I'll be bringing out our featured guest, Chef Greg Barnhill. But first, a couple quotes. I'm often slow in catching up to the times, but even so, I still cannot even grip this idea that with nothing more than a little Pitocin in your IV drip, you can sooner control the date and time of the birth of a human being, that gushing entry into the great blue world of a whole new person, than you can the scheduling of a few line cooks in your operation. And that from Gabrielle Hamilton, the chef at Prune in New York, from her book Blood, Bones, and Butter, The Inadvertent Education of a Reluctant Chef. Right? Yeah, I totally get that.
Oui, Chef.
So, any fool can be happy. What I'm interested in is satisfaction. You've got to, there's got to be more than life than just being happy. You've got to be fulfilled. You've got to be satisfied, philosophically satisfied, is what I mean. And that from Charlie Trotter. Last month, we did an episode titled What I Learned While Cooking with Chef Chris Hill of Atlanta. And some of the conversations centered on our industry's current culture and how the subtext affects almost everything we do in our daily routine. But I was wondering if there wasn't something more, something that we had glimpses of, but hadn't experienced fully ourselves, something that would shift everything for us.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
No, don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
Yeah. Maybe just a little bit of a distraction. In my experience, we as chefs are by design of our commitments and lifestyle insulated from each other. With as much time as we spend within the friendly confines of our establishments, it's hard to get out there and find out what's working for others. With the exception of fundraisers, a little late lerping around, and late night social media or conferences, we get little chance, nor have we made it a priority to continue to be engaged with other professionals. I always found a reason to put off getting a cup of coffee or an ice cold beer with anyone else in the industry not immediately in my tribe. Too busy, got to do the inventory, someone called in, or as many different reasons as there are situations in any daily shift. But there were so many times I should have, could have, and probably needed to. My life and career would have been made much richer for at least the effort at creating that connection. Sometimes I was disconnected by choice. There have been times in my career when, in tough times, I would dig in, double down, pop the clutch, and put the pedal to the metal. But truth be told, that only made it harder to create the change I was looking to initiate. Meaning that very often I was trying to solve problems without the benefit of any outside input. Einstein famously said, "Problems cannot be solved with the same mindset that created them." Now, maybe I was being a jackass, thinking that being the executive chef, it should be me that came up with the idea or the solution to any particular problem. Some of which, in retrospect, were pretty clumsy, inelegant, or downright awful. I also fell into the trap of thinking that because I thought, created, or established a process or procedure, that it was infallible and wouldn't need to change. So I would stagger into the kitchen full of arrogance and announce to any that would listen that I had found a better way, and that everyone would be expected to follow my lead. Imagine my surprise when neither the results didn't match up with the expectations, or worse yet, the system wasn't followed at all. It wasn't until later in my career, and I had eaten my own young, that I got that systems weren't about things. Even though with systems, it made it easier to manage certain aspects of the business. Systems were only and ever about the people using or managing the systems. It was only when I understood that if systems were to be followed, they had to first be simple, and secondly, they had to be co-created with those that were going to have to be governed by them. The best idea, when shoved down someone else's throat, is likely to make them want to throw up. Systems cannot be used in place of the creative mind. However, anyone's creativity has a limited shelf life without the structure by which it can be regenerated and renewed. Ultimately, the only reason why one would want to step back and take a look at their operation from a position of neutrality is that they want to be successful. And I'd offer that the definition of operational success is shifting in our craft. It's much more than improved bottom line or guests leaving your establishment more satisfied with the experience that you and your team have created. How much time do you get to spend with your family? Have your loved ones gotten used to having small slivers of you as part of you, or is preoccupied or worried about what's going on at work? Have you given in to the expectation that you, as the chef, are married to your kitchen, bound to your staff, or indentured to your guests? Do you ever really get to take your apron off, metaphorically speaking? What kinds of future chefs and leaders are we training? Is your operation an incubator for greatness yet to be realized, or are we just gutting it out? One more hour, one more dish, one more shift. Are you thriving in every sense, or is surviving the next battle all you can hope for? Hope, I am fond of saying, is not a strategy or formula for success. The guest receives and sees a plate of chicken tangine. We as chefs see something completely different. We've already deconstructed it into its individual raw components, all the way down to the seasonings, and rebuilt it in real time, in perfect synchronicity, into the dish that sits glistening in the pass.
Where are the people that accuse me? The ones who beat me down and bruise me. They hide just out of sight, can't face me in the light. They'll return, but I'll be stronger. God, I want to dream again. Take me where I've never been. I wanna go there. This to just keep going, but faith is moving without knowing. Can I trust what I can't see to reach my destiny? I want to take control, but I know better. God, I want to dream again. Take me where I've never been. I want to go there. This time I'm not scared. Now I am unbreakable. It's unmistakable. No one can touch me. Nothing can stop me. Forget the fear, it's just a crutch that tries to hold you back and turn your dreams to dust. All you need to do is just God, I want to dream again. Take me where I've never been. I wanna go there. This time I'm not scared. Now I am unbreakable. It's unmistakable. No one can touch me. Nothing can stop me. God, I want to dream again. Take me where I've never been. I wanna go there. This time I'm not scared. Now I am unbreakable. It's unmistakable. No one can touch me. Nothing can stop me.
Yeah. That's why I'm so grateful for this radio show. One, so I can call out all my own foolishness, but also for the real gift of having other chefs on the show that have sometimes very different perspectives on the often similar problems that affect us all. Like our next guest, great friend of the show, Chef Greg Barnhill of the Omni Homestead in beautiful downtown Hot Springs, Virginia, who seems to be having a little bit of difficulty with his technology. So we're going to go ahead and dial him in. And thanks for your patience. Right on. Just give us a second here, folks. Right on. That damn Bluetooth.
Hello.
Hi, Chef.
So I've got the Hangouts thing on my computer, but I can't. Nothing's happening.
No worries, brother. We got you on the show. It's no big deal. So, here, maybe this will help a little bit. Can I pour you a little bit of a cocktail first?
Please.
A little bullet rye, perhaps. Just a smidge, because I know just how much you enjoy that. So shame on me for not prompting you to test it all out prior to the show, but that doesn't diminish your participation in it, right?
Excellent. No, it does not.
Why, thank you, Chef. So as I was kind of ranting around earlier on, we were talking about last month did a show on ostensibly kind of culture in the kitchen, which kind of led me down a rabbit hole of thinking about how you and I came up, and again, kind of fed me back to setting ourselves up for success, which kind of had me thinking about systems. And I know you and I have a slight difference of opinion on that, but I guess I wanted to start off by asking you, You know, at what point in your career did you think that systems were important?
About halfway through. It was early on. There was no systems. It was all from the heart, from the soul, and fly by the seat of your pants. I took a job in a rather large food factory in South Florida, where I quickly learned that systems were absolutely vital.
I have no idea where that is, man. What you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know, probably Key West or someplace.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's. Go ahead.
No. Please go.
Well, it's once you get to a certain point and you're trying to herd in all the cats, you come to realize that without systems you've got nothing, and that's everything that falls back to that. And everything that goes wrong, you can tie it back to the systems. Everything that goes right, you can tie it back to the systems. And without systems, everything is completely there's chaos and there's no consistency, and every day is a new day. Now, for some folks, that's great, and for me, that's been great off and on throughout my career. But in certain situations, it just can't. You can't do it without systems. In
what stages of your career, or what particular job that you had that you discovered that systems weren't really important? And I want to preface that question because you, of all the chefs that I personally know, run one of the most complex organizations that I've ever seen or taken part of. And there's a lot, like to say there's a lot of moving parts is pretty much bullshit, because unless you've actually walked a shift in your clogs, you have no idea what kind of headaches they are in running an organization that has, that's covered, I don't know how many acres and 488 rooms plus everything else that's going on. So what jobs did you have that you didn't think that, or that systems weren't really necessary?
When you're in a single freestanding operation, there's always going to have to be systems of some sort. There's the ordering system, there's the inventory system, there's the prep sheet system, but beyond that, if you're just in one tight restaurant, the rest of it's kind of a free-flowing, river, so to speak, where you can have creativity at your fingertips, and everyone, you surround yourself with creative minds and like minds. And then, the systems there are making sure we have product, making sure the product is right, making sure the meat and pot is there. And then the rest is kind of shoot from the hip. In a situation I'm in now, that's not even remotely the case. So
what do you mean, man?
Well, nowadays it's, everything has to have a system, from, turning on the lights to turning on the ovens to
turning off the fryer,
on and on and on and on. Everything has to, it's a critical task that we have to follow. And with, I have 110 culinarians under my wing, and that's a lot of people to rein in. And, there's a lot of different mindsets in that group, and there's a lot of different directions that they would like to take. But at the end of the day, it's got to be one direction, and it has to be one path and one vision. And without a system to get you there, or a critical path, you're just flailing in the wind.
I think
if you leave one place to go to the next, and you go to that restaurant and come back to the other one, and they can't even cook an omelet, and you just showed them how to cook an omelet 5 minutes ago, and they've already lost track of that, and they're on to the next. Whatever in their mind is telling them to do something else. So, then it goes back to the systems. You have charts on the wall, pictures on the wall, books, setups, sets, all of it.
One of the reasons that actually I have several reasons why you continue to be kind of like the go-to person to come on the show and talk about these very complex issues is number one, because you and I have both a professional and a personal relationship, which I honor and I'm very grateful for. But
likewise.
But the other part of it is because your organization is so complex that anything that works for you has got to be able to work at a much smaller scale, right? Instead of having 110 culinarians, you have 15. But those same principles still hold. Like, I don't know how many restaurants
Yeah.
I've walked into and they don't have station maps, right? And now you're just trusting, the guy who worked saute yesterday to be the same guy today, and if not, that everything's, it's a hell of a lot harder. It takes more time out of your day to have to sit down and explain something again and again and again and again.
If you're working in a single restaurant with 15 or less employees, more than likely as the executive chef, you're on the line every service,
Or
working a station, working the middle.
Or you're in the past, right?
So the systems are mostly in your head and everyone around you because you're there. You're in person, engaged on the line every day. If you have an operation with 11 outlets, such as Resort X, you're not in all those places even in a week. Sometimes it's a week before you get back to one of them. So that's where the station maps and everything has to be in place because, I'm not getting any younger and sometimes I forget what restaurant I'm
You, sir? How can that possibly be?
Well, they're like, chef, you're not making the club sandwich right. I'm like, sure I am. How are you making it, Rubino's? But no, if you're at the tavern. I'm like, oh.
Oh my God.
Oh.
That's hysterical.
So, even for my own sanity, at this point, the systems are absolutely crucial. So, I guess going back to your question is, yes, they do. You can drill it down to even the smallest operation or up, up to the biggest. But, I know for a fact when I was in the smaller operations that, the systems were, as far as station sets and maps and pictures and all those things really didn't exist or have a place in my organization because, I was the gatekeeper and the key holder.
Right.
When you can't be that person anymore, that's when everyone underneath you has to know exactly what it is we're supposed to be doing.
I guess the deeper cut or the deeper question that I'm trying to ask is that, dude, I was in the same situation that you were. It's all in my head. I'll communicate it when I need it. Everybody needs to follow my command. And if they just do what I say, or better yet, if they can just live in my head, that's going to make it a lot easier. But
wouldn't it be a much better world?
God damn it. Why don't you just do what I'm thinking? But the part that I'm kind of concerned about is, with all the media that surrounds an apparent lack of chefs or lack of current candidates for good cooks, can the small restaurateur really afford to have everything in his head anymore? I mean, ultimately you're going to
hit by a bus.
Right. Ultimately you're going to be chained to the stove. And I mean, how many years did we spend, separate from our loved ones because we were the ones that were going to make sure that everybody did what they were supposed to do. And that came out of our head.
Personally, me about 27.
Yeah, me too, man.
27 years. Yeah.
In an organization such as yours, what are the things that for you provide, if not a sense of relief, at least a sense of assurance that things are happening the way that they should be, even if you can't be present in the facility?
Video cameras.
Do they even have to be hooked up, or is it just the illusion that the video camera is up there? It's just a piece of plastic shit with a AA battery and a red light on top.
The old fire detector. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm watching you.
No, it's my assurance is certification and skills testing for all stations, all positions, all outlets.
So what does that look like on a daily basis? I mean, do you actually have people who are going to, for lack of a better word, stage a station before they're actually certified to do that? Yes, the internet, and not only the internet, but the phone system seems to have collapsed on us in Hot Springs, Virginia. You know, it's a very remote location, and very often stuff like that happens all the time. I mean, Bath County, where Chef Barnhill works, doesn't even have a stoplight, which might seem to be a good thing, but you never know. So we're just going to go ahead and bring them back because we can.
Thanks for calling Pizza Hut. May I take your order?
See, that's a system, man. That is a system right there. It's scripted. You know what you need to do. Did you intentionally just like leave the call, man? You just said, that's it. I'm done.
If you weren't aware, was in a semi-rural / remote area of the world where we got electricity just last week, and the internet they just put in. So
it's I think it has to do with like a couple coat hangers and some aluminum foil, right?
Yeah, 2 gerbils on a treadmill. Yes, sir.
Okay, so
where were we?
You were talking about you're talking about certification of people on stations.
Yeah, so that's the how I can somewhat sleep at night without the help of
Me?
Ambien and alcohol and all of other things. Is to know, we've put everybody through the paces, and they've taken their tests, and they've been certified by their certified trainer, which has been signed off by the area chef, and then which signed off on by either myself or the executive sous chef. So, is that the fail safe? Absolutely not. I mean, there's still all kinds of things that can happen, but at least we know that if something does happen, we can go back to that person saying, hey, you were trained on this. You
accountability.
Know this, you signed off on this, and I'm now holding you accountable. And it goes from there. So the people that cannot do the proper things after being certified are held accountable, and we find another tree for them to climb.
Do you think that there's enough accountability in smaller operations, or is it more, desperation of like trying to fill a shift?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. The desperation part is because it's hard to find help in these smaller arenas because they can't afford to pay. The incentive package isn't there. The benefits and all those things. So a lot of times you're hamstrung to that of just having to just get through, and that's where the chefs in those smaller operations a lot of times are the ones that have all the knowledge, and nobody else has the ability to do anything. In a larger operation, I mean, you really have to kind of reverse that whole thought process and, try to empower your people to be able to make decisions and to, understand what the common goal is and all those things.
So do you think it's, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is it's more a function of economics than it is the culture of culinary professionals?
It just depends on the situation. We know a friend of ours that operates a restaurant in the town where Resort X is, and hell of a restaurant. Food is great, but we've known people that have worked in there and come in and out, and the knowledge is a guarded secret. You do this, you do that. That's all you do. I finish this. I'll take care of this. I'll do that. So if that's how you're going to run your operation, you've got 3 or 4 guys on your line, and you're open 5 days a week. Why not? Unless you get hit by the bus, then you're in trouble. But so I don't know if it's economics. It's partly economics, and it's partly ego, and it's partly still that old world, how you and I were brought up in this business, where the chef was the almighty and everybody else was idiots. And I think that some of the guys we worked for actually hired buffoons just so that they could make sure that they were the supreme being in the kitchen.
Without a doubt.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, man. I've seen it firsthand. I'll never forget. I opened up Ditka's original restaurant on Ontario. 223 Ontario in downtown Chicago. This dates the shit out of me, but it was my very first sous chef position in 1986, and there was a chef there who his thing was his chocolate mousse cake, and he would actually gather all the ingredients together and go in the freezer and shut himself in the freezer in order to assemble the cake. And basically told me, "Hey, listen, Lamb, if you think you're going anywhere in this company, you better find yourself somewhere else to go." So I was told straight out that the only place for me to go was to go out. And while that was probably, a blessing in my case, because he got fired and I ended up coming back to the restaurant, I think that the pool of qualified candidates is getting smaller and smaller every day. And you've experienced this, even though you run this huge resort, you've had to use some pretty creative means to fill the roles or fill the slots in your schedule. But I think it's just getting way too tight, man, for us to do anything else except like invest in the crew. Ultimately, I think it comes down to the question of, and you may disagree with me, but it comes down to, is this going to be about me or is it going to be about the crew? I think that's the question we all have to ask ourselves. And back then in the day, it was easy because there was plenty of people coming in the door. And I don't know if current culinarians have that luxury anymore. What's been your experience about actually, getting folks in the facility who have some semblance of skill?
It's difficult. And it's not just our industry. I think it's all of them. With the millennial outlook on things is a lot different than what we've ever could even imagine. Now, when I have people coming to work for me that played soccer and they played volleyball and they played football, whatever, when they were in grade school, middle school, and high school, and whether they won or lost, tied, or handed trophies and ribbons for participation. And if anybody raised a voice to them about, their performance, there was, an immediate parent-teacher organization meeting, and, eyebrows are raised, and the media is alerted. So,
the media was alerted.
When these kids get into a professional situation, and for the first time in their lives, they're being told that we didn't do this right. This isn't how we want it done, and you failed at this. You failed, and we need to make it again. That's very, very difficult for these kids to understand because they've never heard it before. These kids also have, a different trust and core value system than we have. They grew up in a world where, they're watching TV and terrorists are flying airplanes into, prominent buildings and bringing them down.
Sure.
So their sense of, trust in the government, trust in our
any authority, really,
to protect us, and all these things are completely different than what you and I know and believe. And that's hard to understand, and it's hard to remember that they think differently. It's especially hard on the fly in our environment where everything's happening so fast and so hectic and so stressful that a lot of times you can't even think. Like, I got to stop and understand how I'm supposed to deal with these kids, because they're not going to respond to the things that we responded to.
So let me.
It's a different world.
So do you think do you think the onus is on us or them? Should they, like I gave you an example. I'm working on a side project to do like a 15-minute podcast that's released once a week without being broadcast live around kind of like philosophy or detail about being in the culinary business. And so I went out to a bunch of my friends and said, what would you like me to speak about? And there was like fully half of the people were like, well, you got to tell the kids that they got to do this and they got to do that and suck it up and that. From their perspective, I'm sure that that's valid, but I guess I'm asking you as, an enlightened preacher's son, whether or not it's their responsibility to change their ways of being that they've learned or been entrained in over the past 19 or 20 some years, or is it our responsibility to try to find something that's going to work and be able to motivate them to actually lean in where they're at and say, okay, I'm ready, I get it, I'm here?
I think it's both. It's going to take both sides to to compromise and try to find a middle ground, because if, 10 or 15, 20 years ago, I didn't have to wait to find the next rising star or look for the next rising star. They were just rolling into the kitchen, and it was easy to sort it out, and did we use a little bit of fight or flight tactics? Probably, but you could sort them out quick, and you knew if you had 10 guys rolling in, you could at least salvage 5 over the course of a couple of years, and then whittle that down to 2 that were like totally engaged, got it, and wanted, understood what the lifestyle was, and what being a chef was all about, and those things. Nowadays, you could bring in 100 people, and you've seen it. You've been with me and seen it. You can bring in legions, and at the end of the day, you can shake them all, and there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So yes, it's up to us to find those people, and when we do, to nurture them and bring them up. But we have to do it in a different way, and maybe we have to think differently about how we're finding these people, because either they don't exist anymore or they do, and we just don't know how to deal with them. And I know in your and I's storied past, we even racked our brains about completely changing our entire mindset on management, managing people. And we read books, we looked at different things, and we try to look outside the box. And because I remember banging my head against the wall with you saying, is it something? Is it us?
When did that
not clear?
When did that ever happen? That we were banging our heads against the wall?
Boy, I can't recall because I banged my brain so hard. But the crazy thing is the person that took your position is a millennial, and he's my assistant now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a young man and has both philosophies going on in his head, and it's odd to watch how he puts that all together. But still, the conversations at the end of the day are very, very similar to what you and I have.
So,
is our message not clear? Are they not understanding? Is it something that we didn't say, or is it something that we did say?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, these guys.
In what way was I not clear with you?
And if anybody doesn't if anybody should enlighten us on how we get through, it should be him. And he struggles with it as well. It's just, I think the talent pool is much thinner. It's saturated with a lot of noise and junk. There's more people in the culinary field now than ever before, and that's not just because we have more population. It's just the interest is so high. It's completely saturated. So again, we're where you could grab 10 and sift it out and get 5 and down to 2. Now it's 100, like I said before. And if you're lucky, you get 1 out of 100. And then after that, you just have to start reaching out all over the place. We've reached out globally here, and that's how we have figured out some of our labor situation. We have 15 countries represented in the kitchen now. But we also reach out within the United States and people we've worked with, and we know, the very few that have that exact same mindset, and try to, promise to the moon and the stars and, serenity and peacefulness and, living in the country and all those things, to come out here and do what we need to have done. And, there's so few people. And, again, 10 years ago, the phone calls I could have made, tons of them. And now it's like, I got my go-to list is 3 or 4 names long.
So, I'm going to play a song, okay?
All right. The worst song I've ever heard.
It's been far too long. You're all alone.
Let's relax.
This is going on. Can't seem to respond to anything.
How long?
Carry on with our lives.
3 minutes and 30 seconds, sir.
The simple fact that we haven't done anything doesn't mean we can't start over. Why do we feel so far? It's like we're seeing stars. Why does it seem so hard to wake up now and see who we are? So let go, don't follow. Where do we go from here? How did it disappear? It's hard to see with our own eyes. These times we've been hypnotized. Where do we go from here? How did it disappear? It's hard to see with our own eyes. These lies we've been hypnotized. I think it's time we try to open up our eyes. Look away from the very thing that's made us cry. Hypnotized, you'll see the real me. Luckily, it can't be stopped. If the tick-tock of life isn't all that you got, so come ready or not, wake up with your last shot to come to and redo. Where do we go from here? How did it disappear? It's hard to see with our own eyes. These times we've been hypnotized. Where do we go from here? How did it disappear? It's hard to see with our own eyes. These lies we've been hypnotized. Wake up now. Wake up now. So wake up now. Wake up now. So wake up now. It's been far too long. How can we not go wrong? Now it's been far too long. How can we not go wrong again? Where do we go from here? How did it disappear? It's hard to see with our own eyes. These times we've been hypnotized. Where do we go from here? How did it disappear? It's hard to see with our own eyes. These times we've been hypnotized. Where do we go from here? How did it disappear? We've been hypnotized. How did it disappear? It's hard to see with our own eyes. These times we've been hypnotized.
Chef.
Yes.
I'm sorry, dude. I know you can't hear it the way it's looped.
I didn't hear anything.
That was a great song. I know, bro. I know because, we're doing it via phone and I couldn't get the backside. It's all technology bullshit. So, all right. So, we've actually got some folks on the chat feature and I kind of want to talk about some of their comments if that's okay with you. But first, before I get there, you mentioned your new executive sous chef and, I totally get the whole training portion. Like for me, I think it's probably like the best money spent to be able to nurture people with the skills they have where they're at. But you took a completely different take with your new executive sous chef. When he came in, you actually sent him out into the hinterlands for a while just to kind of like get grounded in each one of the outlets, right? I mean, he didn't actually become an executive sous chef until later, right?
Well, that was the plan. It didn't necessarily go that way. But yeah, there was, instead of just completely, jumping in, feet first, I wanted him to understand and see, why are things the way that they are, and how does this whole cell structure make up the whole. And that was the plan. Some other things happened and didn't necessarily go to that plan, but so there was quite a bit of on the job training, so to speak.
Right, but clearly, I mean, what did you hope that he was going to learn? What was he like, the OJT? What were you actually hoping that he would? What skills were you hoping to have him gain by going
Not so
out and
much
being?
gaining skill, but again, it was an understanding, because as you know as well as I do, sometimes you look at this operation and go, oh my God, you can't even make this up. You can't make it up.
Right.
Even the best comic or horror writers could not make this up. So when there's, why is this happening? How did this go down? Why is this way? You can tell somebody, and it sounds a little bit more like, well, excuses. Well, this didn't happen because, or this is happening because, or you can just send them out in the field and they can see it for themselves. And if, I'm not seeing the same thing, then, I would welcome the input and, work on the problem together. But when you go out in the field, and as well as I do, we both saw the same thing and racked our brains on how to correct them. So that was what I was hoping, the skill set I was hoping for him to obtain was, I guess, grace and patience.
Do you think that those are undervalued attributes in today's culinary society?
I know you do.
That I value them, or that I don't live that.
That they're undervalued to you.
I think grace and compassion is probably step one, but I'm a little bit removed from holding down the fort while you're at home tippling a glass of bourbon and making sure that everything runs right. But I'm getting ready to head off in a week to spend a month in Canada. I'm going to be cooking for a group in Tofino, British Columbia, and then coming back and doing another trip to Stony Lake in Canada. And a lot of those same things come back to me, in that it's such a strange thing, man. It's like the farther I get from the daily grind, the more I appreciate it and the more I love it. And I think you understand me enough to know that for me, it was always and ever about the crew. We used to joke that, my job was, or the executive sous chef position was 10,000 conversations a day.
A day. Yeah.
And covering a lot of ground, but again, being where they're at, I think that's the building blocks to where you get them to where you want them to be. But then it becomes a self-motivated, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, that they actually see the value in that and come up. And some of the people who've come out of that kitchen have gone on to do good things. And I think for both of us in all our careers, speaking for myself, and I think I speak for you, in that the greatest gauge of our, I hate to put a word like legacy on it, man, because there's so much bullshit, so much density around that. But one of the greatest gifts is when someone can come back to our kitchen and say, chef, I didn't really get it until I became a chef, and then I got it. And I want to tell you thanks for everything that you did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, so how's your executive sous chef doing, man?
Very well. A little frustrated, but very well.
And you?
Very well. A little frustrated, but very well. And I'm going to lower taxes, and I'm going to work well with foreign governments. I get along with everybody, and I'm going to get along with the foreign governments. And I've got some really top people working on it, and top people. And things are going to be great. We're going to bring it back. Top people. I work really well with people. People like me.
Because you're the life of the party, dude. I know in our time together, one of the things one of the conversations that we had, and by the way, Cody Maxwell, in our introduction, we're talking about, does the apron ever come off? And of course, Cody Maxwell says the apron never comes off. But then again, he's one of the sharp edges in the drawer. But and I also wanted to make sure that to mention that Levi Massey is doing a competition out in Indianapolis tonight. So hopefully he can not only win, but then listen to the show when he gets done.
Great.
Yeah. And looks like Andre is on the line too. But one of the things that I thought was important, and I know that you kind of shared this vision, was to create an organization by which people would want to come there.
Yeah.
Like to have it so kind of mythological that it would draw people to it.
Certainly.
And
like a baseball field and a cornfield in Iowa.
What the hell was that show? So what do you think are some of the components by which you can put together a really compelling narrative about why people should come to work with you?
Well, we're still, and that's always been on the forefront of my mind of why I'm here and why I'm doing this and why I'm still here and still doing this. Is when everyone around me has lost hope and faith and said it can't be done, it can't be fixed, it can't do, can't. I've even succumbed to that a couple of times. I'm like, you know what, you're right, I can't. It just can't. But I know deep down inside that I can and we will. And we have all the components, we have all the tools, we have all the facilities to make this the place that you will not have any experience like it anywhere else, whether you're coming to work here, coming to dine here, coming to stay here, any of those things. And I think that's the key, because you have to provide something beyond a paycheck for all these new kids coming into the business, and they have, you have to provide some kind of value beyond money, and that's the key, I think, and it's always been, and it always will be until we get this thing figured out. But as we keep bringing in more and more skilled people into the fold, I think those days are coming, and the trend is changing. You mentioned some sharp edges in the drawer. Two of those guys, another, Jacob, really sharp, really talented, really motivated people that didn't make it in this environment. And, I feel like the general that keeps throwing bodies at the, just keep sending them up the hill. And it's like, every time I think I should stop doing that, then something inside of me says, no, get on the phone and call the next group, bring the next group out. You're crazy. You don't want to bring those people out here. They're not going to. I'm like, I have to. And I have to keep throwing people at this until we conquer it. And I have to be throwing skill and passion and all those things. Because it can't just be a job. It can't just be a paycheck. And if that's all it is, this place will always be what it's always been for the last 20 years. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. So let me backtrack a little bit and ask you, so what do you think those, just to pick like the top three, what are three values that you think you can provide promising culinarians to come work with you? What are they getting?
A sense of ownership, a sense of pride, like being part of something that's really huge and owning it, and being proud of something that's, somewhat, it's not brand new and shiny, and it's not glass and it's not steel. I mean, you have to be proud of the heritage, and you have to be able to understand that. And once you get to that point, then it's like overwhelmingly awesome, because you're like, oh my God, we're making bread in the same oven people have been making bread in for over 100 years.
Yeah, that's that.
How many people can say that?
That's that compelling narrative. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
but how do we get to that point? Well, we just keep bringing people. And we keep chipping away, and we're chipping it away. We brought serious talent to this place.
So
people from the Per Se, people from the Thomas Keller group.
Sure.
And those people don't make it here. But you know what? They chipped away, and they made a handheld.
So
handhold. And every one of these guys that we've just mentioned have made a handhold for the next group. And then there's this next group here are going to be the ones that are going to conquer the hill. I hope so.
We're standing on the
not.
shoulders.
And if not, guess what? We chipped out a few more handholds for the next. Because we are going to keep attacking it and attacking it and attacking it until we get up that hill.
Chef.
And,
Chef.
The difference is maybe I'm not holding back as much information as I used to.
Oh my God. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, you know me, it's like, you know, see that hill up there? It's all on fire and there's stuff exploding and all that, but it's all good. Just take this flag and go up there. Just go. Don't ask questions. You don't need to know what's going to happen on the other side.
It was one of our biggest arguments,
but
man.
We're halfway there. But we're halfway there now. You know, a year ago, 2 years ago, we were at the bottom. Now we're halfway there. So now information can start being shared. You know, there's more sense of purpose. There's more sense of involvement for everyone. So that's what we can offer now. It's like, here's the clear direction now. We can see the summit. It's not shrouded in smoke anymore. There's a break in the clouds every now and again. You can see what's up there. So now here's where we're going to go and here's how we're going to get there. So that's where we're at now. That's what we can provide now.
Standing on the shoulders of giants, my friend. Hey, listen, I just want to let you know that Plecky's listening in and been on the chat.
Hey, Plecky.
And
we miss you, bro.
And Boxwell wants.
He carved out some handholds.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, there's
a lot of people.
Kick ass, man.
Come through this place and have left in my tenure here. Incredible, talented, passionate people, you know, that don't work here anymore, and it's somewhat sad, but also, you know, somewhat cool.
Yep. And Boxwell wanted to shout out to you and say, absolutely, Barnhill, well put. I have a long list of things from X that I'm proud of. And I think probably one of those is working with you. So
well, I had a good time working with him, but you know, that's another show.
That is another show.
How does a group of talented individuals, as talented as the ones we just spoke of, not survive in this?
Well, listen.
Was it because of lack of systems, or is it because there was too many systems? What was it?
You're right, man. That is another show.
That is another show that you should start figuring out how we're going to talk about that.
Okay, let me see if I can squirrel it away in the topic. So,
I think you should.
All right, don't ride me, damn, man.
Why are you yelling at me?
Doing my best.
Quit talking hard to me.
Oh man. So I'm just waiting. Right.
Come on, you've got another question.
I don't. It's the end of the show. And
don't?
It's the end of the show, man. We'll have to do it. Will you come back and do another show with me?
Yes, it's called "Why Did These People Not Survive?" The heroes that have fallen before us.
The heroes. That's such crap, man. You know,
I don't know.
It's just very. Listen, we can. There are some that. Okay, that's another show. All right, so consider finally that it's just some stuff on a plate. None of it really matters. It doesn't define you as a person or make you any more special or less than anyone else. It's just a dance we're engaged in, so we might as well laugh and enjoy every bit of it, even the crappy parts, while we're doing it. Or didn't you know that your life is meant to be lived? Chef, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you.
Love you like sin, miss you like poison. Yeah.
Oh, I miss you like sin.
So stay tuned. Next month, we're actually going to have Chef David Burke on, and at Twitter at Brigade Radio, Facebook.com/Brigade Radio. Stand tall and Frosty's brothers and sisters. Until next time, here at www.brigaderadio.com. Be good and do good. And brah, you ready?
Yeah, man.
It's time to go to church.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its scenes while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets cobblestone. Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out his warning, and the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Thanks so much, everybody. See you next month.